The results show some irregularities.
What does that mean?
We need to run more tests.
Is it serious?
We'll know more soon.
I need the name of the blood donor.
Mr. Alexander, I can't disclose that information.
My daughter's life is at stake. Tell me.
A billionaire's daughter was dying. Slowly, silently, and mercilessly. A rare autoimmune blood disease was destroying her red blood cells from within. Only one blood type could save her. A B negative. Less than 1% of the population carries it. For 2 full years, 24 months without missing a single donation, one woman showed up like clockwork at St. Jude Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago. She rolled up her sleeve, gave her precious blood, then returned to her night shift mopping floors 3 levels below the little girl she was keeping alive. Emily Harper had no idea whose life her blood was flowing into. And Alexander Sterling, the 46-year-old billionaire founder of Sterling MedAI, a man worth $4.3 billion who built his empire saving children with cutting-edge artificial intelligence, had no idea that the only thing keeping his 4-year-old daughter Lily breathing was a quiet, certified nursing assistant he had walked past every single day without ever truly seeing her. Until one fateful night. Everything changed. 2 lives connected by a single crimson thread, separated by 3 floors, a wall of anonymity, and 2 completely different worlds. But that wall was about to crack. At 6:45 a.m., Emily pushed open the heavy door of the blood bank on the 3rd floor of St. Jude Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago. Her feet throbbed inside shoes that should have been thrown away 6 months ago. Her faded blue scrubs smelled of bleach, sweat, and the faint metallic scent of other people's pain. She had just finished a brutal 12-hour night shift, but she didn't head for the exit. Instead, she turned left, past the sleeping cafeteria, past the gift shop still locked behind metal gates, and down the quiet hallway most visitors never noticed. The nurse at the donation desk looked up and smiled warmly. "Morning, Emily. Right on time, as always." Emily gave a small, tired smile and sat down in the familiar recliner like it was her favorite chair at home. She had done this 24 times now. It had become as routine as breathing. The nurse tied the rubber tourniquet around Emily's slender arm and gently tapped for a vein. "You know, your blood type is something special. A B negative. We're always running low on it. Most people with your type donate once or twice a year, if they donate at all. But you've been here every single month for 2 years." Emily watched the thick, dark red blood begin to flow through the clear tubing into the collection bag. She didn't flinch. She never did. The nurse continued softly. "We can't tell you who receives it. Donor confidentiality. Once it leaves this room, it gets processed and sent wherever it's needed. You'll never know whose veins your blood flows into." Emily nodded. "I don't need to know." Her voice was quiet but steady. "My mother used to say something back when I was a little girl in Chicago. She said blood is the one thing rich and poor share equally. When you give it, you give life itself." She spoke the words the same way her mother once had, like a simple truth, not a sermon. 15 minutes later, after the required orange juice and cookie, Emily stood up, slipped on her thin winter jacket, and walked out of the blood bank the same way she had entered. Quietly, unnoticed. 3 floors above her, in the luxurious VIP pediatric wing, a different world existed. Room 714 smelled of fresh flowers and expensive linen instead of disinfectant. Soft morning light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. In the oversized hospital bed, a 4-year-old girl named Lily Sterling lay sleeping. Her small face was pale, her breathing shallow. Beside her sat her father, Alexander Sterling, 46 years old, founder and CEO of Sterling MedAI, a company valued at $4.3 billion. His technology used artificial intelligence to diagnose rare diseases in children across the world. His face had appeared on the covers of Forbes and Time. He had shaken hands with presidents and spoken at Davos. Yet none of that power could save his own daughter. Lily suffered from a severe form of autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Her immune system attacked her own blood cells. Without a perfect match transfusion of AB-negative blood every month, she would not survive. Alexander stared at the empty IV pole where the latest bag had hung just hours earlier. Someone's blood. A stranger's blood. The only thing standing between his little girl and death. He had no idea that the woman who had just donated that life-saving blood was the same woman he had walked past in these hallways hundreds of times without ever truly seeing her. Emily stepped out of the blood bank, feeling the familiar wave of lightheadedness wash over her. She paused for a moment, steadying herself against the cool wall, waiting for the dizziness to pass. 24 donations in 24 months. Her body knew the routine well, but it never got easier. She made her way slowly down the corridor toward the staff exit, her worn sneakers squeaking faintly on the freshly mopped floor. Every muscle ached from the long night, lifting patients, changing soiled linens, pushing heavy carts, and responding to endless call bells. 12 hours straight on her feet, yet she had still chosen to give blood before going home. Most people would have collapsed into bed. Emily couldn't. Not when someone out there might need what only she could provide. Outside, the early Chicago morning air bit sharply through her thin jacket. She pulled it tighter around her shoulders and headed for the bus stop 2 blocks away. Her hands were dry and cracked from constant sanitizing. Her lower back throbbed, and a new blister had formed on her right heel. Still, a quiet sense of peace settled over her. Another pint safely given. Another chance handed to a stranger she would never meet. Back inside the hospital, the nurse who had drawn her blood that morning updated the donation log with a soft smile. Emily Harper, she murmured to herself. If only more people were like her. Emily had no idea she had become something of a legend in the blood bank, the only consistent AB-negative donor they could truly count on. While others came sporadically, Emily showed up like clockwork. Every 30 days, without fail, without complaint, and without ever asking for special treatment. By the time she reached the bus stop, the city was beginning to wake. Cars honked in the distance, and office workers hurried past in warm coats and polished shoes. Emily sat on the cold metal bench, staring at her reflection in a nearby puddle. She looked older than her 31 years. The years of night shifts, financial stress, and sacrifice had carved quiet lines around her eyes. Her thoughts drifted to her mother, Maggie Harper, who was probably just waking up in their small apartment. At 68, Maggie fought a daily battle with stage 4 kidney disease. The dialysis appointments 3 times a week drained what little energy she had left. Emily's paycheck, barely $2,100 a month after taxes, disappeared almost entirely into medical bills, rent, and the special diet her mother needed. Yet Emily never complained. She had made her choice years ago. As the bus finally arrived and she climbed aboard, Emily found a window seat and rested her forehead against the cool glass. She remembered her mother's words from childhood, spoken during their first blood drive together back in Chicago. "Blood is the one thing rich and poor share equally," Maggie had told her, squeezing her small hand. "When you give it, you give life itself. Never forget that, baby girl." Those words had stayed with Emily through every hardship. They had carried her through the painful decision to drop out of pre-med at the University of Illinois. They had kept her going when she traded her white coat dreams for scrubs and a mop cart. They reminded her every month why she sat in that donation chair, even when her own body begged for rest. 2 hours later, Emily finally unlocked the door to their modest one-bedroom apartment. Maggie was sitting at the small kitchen table, sipping weak tea. "You went again, didn't you?" her mother asked gently, noticing the cotton ball taped to Emily's arm. Emily smiled and kissed the top of her mother's head. "Someone needed it, Mama." She didn't know that someone was a 4-year-old girl named Lily Sterling, fighting for every breath 3 floors above the blood bank. She didn't know that Lily's father was one of the most powerful men in the country. All Emily knew was that she had done what she could. And for now, that was enough. The following night, Emily pushed her heavy cleaning cart down the dimly lit hallway of the 3rd floor at St. Jude Children's Memorial. It was 2:17 a.m., and the hospital had fallen into that fragile quiet that only exists between midnight and dawn. Monitors beeped softly. A child's cry occasionally broke the silence. As a certified nursing assistant, Emily did the work no one else wanted. She changed soiled linens, emptied bedpans, wiped down surfaces with harsh disinfectant, took vital signs, helped children eat, and guided weak bodies to the bathroom. She was the person patients saw most, yet the hospital valued her the least. Her hourly wage was $15.40. After taxes, she brought home roughly $2,100 a month, barely enough for rent in Chicago, let alone her mother's mounting medical bills. In room 309, Emily knelt on the cold tile, wiping up spilled juice. Suddenly, the door opened. Derek Voss, the night shift supervisor, stood with his arms crossed. "Harper," he snapped. "You've got 14 rooms to turn over before dawn. I don't pay you to play therapist. Clean and move on." Emily stood slowly. The boy in 312 was crying. He just needed someone to sit with him for 5 minutes. "That's what nurses are for," Derek cut her off. "You're a CNA, not a counselor. Do your job or I'll find someone who will." He walked away without another word. Emily stared at the floor, then continued cleaning. Arguing with the man who controlled her paycheck was a luxury she couldn't afford. Doctors passed her like she was furniture. Nurses gave orders without looking up. Some parents even spoke about her while she stood right there changing their child's sheets. "Tell the cleaning lady to be quieter," they'd say. Emily kept her head down and kept working. By 6:30 a.m., her body was exhausted, back burning, knees bruised, hands raw. She clocked out, changed clothes, and headed straight to the blood bank like she did every month. Even after nights like this, she never missed a donation. No one at the hospital knew the full weight she carried. They only saw the quiet CNA who never complained and always showed up. Emily Harper was invisible to almost everyone in that building, but 3 floors above, in the luxurious VIP wing, her blood was quietly flowing through the veins of a little girl who needed it more than anyone realized. Emily stepped into their small apartment just after 8 a.m., the smell of antiseptic still clinging to her skin. Maggie Harper was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table in her worn robe, staring at a pile of medical bills. "Morning, baby," Maggie said softly, trying to smile. Emily kissed her mother's forehead and began preparing the low-sodium breakfast. At 68, Maggie was fighting stage 4 chronic kidney disease. Dialysis 3 times a week kept her alive, but it left her weak and exhausted. Every day, Emily calculated the numbers. Even with insurance, the out-of-pocket costs for dialysis, medications, transportation, and special food reached nearly $3,000 a month. Her entire $2,100 paycheck disappeared into that black hole. She ate 1 meal a day, wore shoes until the soles split, and hadn't bought new clothes in 2 years. While Maggie rested, Emily sat on the edge of her bed and let her mind drift back 6 years. She had once been a promising pre-med student at the University of Illinois, Chicago on a full scholarship. Top of her class in organic chemistry, professors praised her golden hands. She dreamed of becoming a doctor and healing others. Then the call came. Her mother's kidneys were failing rapidly. The cost of treatment was crushing. Emily sat on her dorm floor at 2 a.m., surrounded by textbooks and bills, doing the math over and over. She couldn't afford both tuition and her mother's life. So she made the only choice a daughter could make. She dropped out in her junior year, just 3 semesters from graduation. She earned her CNA certification and took the night shift at St. Jude, not because it was her dream, but because it kept her inside the hospital and paid slightly better. Some days the regret cut deep, especially when she passed young residents in white coats. But Maggie had raised her with strength and values deeper than any degree. "You didn't give up your dream," her mother often said. "You just changed how you're living it." Emily looked at her hands, calloused and cracked, yet steady. These were the same hands that once held scalpels in labs. Now they emptied bedpans, scrubbed floors, and gave blood every month to save a child she would never know. She stood up, helped her mother get ready for dialysis, and buttoned her coat with gentle care. "I've got you, Mama," Emily whispered. "We're going to get through this." She had no idea the mysterious child she had been saving for 2 years was Lily Sterling. She had no idea that saving that little girl might one day help save her own mother's future. For now, all she had was love, sacrifice, and the quiet belief that giving everything you have is never wasted. The morning sun was rising over Chicago as Emily stepped off the bus, her body heavy and feet throbbing. She pulled her thin jacket tighter against the cold November wind and walked toward home. As she turned onto Michigan Avenue, the giant digital billboard glowed brightly. Sterling Med-AI saving children's lives with the power of AI. Alexander Sterling's confident face stared down from the screen. His company was worth billions. His AI had helped diagnose rare diseases in thousands of children. Emily paused for a moment, staring at the smiling child on the billboard. A quiet ache filled her chest. She wondered what it felt like to have that kind of power to save lives. She shook her head and kept walking. She had no idea that the man on the billboard was the father of 4-year-old Lily, the same little girl fighting for her life in the hospital Emily had just left. She didn't know that the blood flowing through Lily's veins had come from her own arm just hours earlier. To Emily, it was simply another distant world. Bright, unreachable, and completely unaware of how deeply their lives were already connected. 3 floors above the blood bank, the exclusive VIP pediatric wing felt like a different world. The air smelled of fresh lilies and expensive linen instead of bleach and despair. Room 714 was bathed in soft morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. This was no ordinary hospital room. It was a luxurious sanctuary for the children of the wealthy. In the center of the large bed, 4-year-old Lily Sterling slept fitfully. Her small chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. A fresh IV line was still taped to her tiny arm, the empty blood bag hanging like a silent reminder. The transfusion had finished just an hour earlier. A hint of color was slowly returning to her pale cheeks, but Alexander Sterling knew it wouldn't last. He sat motionless. Lily stirred, her dark lashes fluttering. Alex leaned forward and gently brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. She looked so small and fragile against the white sheets. Autoimmune hemolytic anemia had turned her own body against her. Her immune system relentlessly destroyed her red blood cells. Without perfect match AB negative blood transfusions every month, she would not survive. "How is she responding today?" Alex asked quietly as Dr. Rebecca Langford entered the room. "Her hemoglobin is stabilizing," the head of pediatric hematology replied calmly. "The transfusion is holding for now." Alex stared at the empty blood bag. How long until the next crisis? Dr. Langford hesitated. This disease is unpredictable. Without consistent donors. Her voice trailed off. They both understood the harsh reality. A B negative was the rarest blood type. Less than 1% of the population carried it. National supplies were chronically low. Alex ran a hand through his hair, jaw tight with helpless rage. I can fund entire hospitals and develop AI that catches leukemia early, but I can't guarantee 1 bag of blood for my own daughter? Blood doesn't care about bank accounts, Mr. Sterling, Dr. Langford said gently. We've been incredibly fortunate to have one consistent donor for nearly 2 years. The same person, every month, without fail. Alex's eyes sharpened. The same donor? Yes, completely anonymous. He stood and walked to the window, staring at the glittering lake. Somewhere in this city, a stranger's blood was keeping his little girl alive, month after month, never knowing how vital they were. I want to thank them, Alex said, his voice low. Whatever it takes. Dr. Langford shook her head. You know I can't give you that information. Donor anonymity protects people from pressure. Alex returned to Lily's bedside and took her small hand in his, holding it as if letting go might cause her to disappear. He had built an empire on saving children. Yet the one child who mattered most depended entirely on the kindness of an invisible stranger. Little did he know that stranger had just left the hospital in worn shoes and a thin jacket, carrying the quiet weight of her own sacrifices, completely unaware that her blood now flowed through Lily Sterling's veins. Dr. Rebecca Langford closed the chart on her tablet and looked at Alexander Sterling with calm authority. Mr. Sterling, I can tell you this much. Your daughter has had the same primary donor for 22 months. The same person every single month, without missing once. That level of consistency with AB negative blood is extremely rare. Alex turned sharply, hope flashing in his eyes. Then tell me who it is. I can't, Dr. Langford replied firmly. Donor anonymity is federal law and hospital policy. It protects the donor from pressure and exploitation. I'm not trying to exploit anyone, Alex said, his voice tight with desperation. I just want to thank them. If they need money, compensation, medical care for their family, anything, I can provide it. Name the price. Dr. Langford shook her head. That's exactly why the rules exist. Once a billionaire gets involved, donors feel obligated. Some push their bodies too far. Others stop donating altogether. And when that happens, children like Lily lose their lifeline. Alex walked back to his daughter's bedside and gently stroked her hair as she slept. The steady beeping of the heart monitor filled the heavy silence. 22 months, he whispered. This stranger has kept my daughter alive longer than most people keep promises, and I don't even know their name. Are they young or old, male or female? Do they know how important they are? They don't know, Dr. Langford said softly. That's the beauty of anonymity. They donate because it's the right thing to do, not for recognition or reward. Alex sat down heavily in the recliner, his powerful presence diminished by exhaustion and helplessness. My company uses AI to solve impossible medical problems, yet I can't find one person in this entire city who is saving my daughter's life every month. Dr. Langford placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Sometimes the most powerful things in medicine aren't technology or money. They're simple human acts, one person showing up when no one else does. She gathered her things and headed for the door. The donor will be back next month. They always come back. That's the best assurance we have. As the door closed behind her, Alex stared at the empty blood bag still hanging on the IV pole. A stranger's blood, warm and life-giving, had once again saved his daughter. He pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. 5 million, 10 million. He could wire the money instantly. but he knew Dr. Langford would never accept it. For the first time in his extraordinarily successful life, Alexander Sterling faced a problem that money could not solve. 3 floors below, in the quiet blood bank, a nurse placed the latest bag of Emily Harper's blood into the cooler, completely unaware of the storm brewing upstairs. The invisible thread connecting them grew stronger with every passing day, even as both the billionaire father and the selfless donor remained blind to each other's existence. It was 11:53 p.m. on a quiet Tuesday night when Emily pushed her cleaning cart toward room 714. The VIP wing was hushed, the kind of silence that felt heavier than noise. Most of the lights were dimmed, but a soft blue glow from the monitors and a small rocket-shaped nightlight illuminated the corner of the room. Emily knocked gently, then eased the door open. Inside, Lily Sterling was sitting up in bed, hugging her knees, wide awake. Her big brown eyes were filled with fear. "Hey there, sweetheart," Emily whispered, keeping her voice soft and warm. "Can't sleep?" Lily shook her head. "It's too dark, and the machines keep beeping. They sound angry." Emily glanced at the hallway. She still had 12 rooms left on her list. Derek Voss would check her progress soon. But something in the little girl's frightened face made her decision easy. She parked her cart just outside the door and stepped inside. "I'm Emily," she said, pulling the chair closer to the bed. "How about I sit with you for a little while until you feel sleepy? Would that be okay?" Lily nodded eagerly. Emily began telling her a story from her childhood, about the ocean in Ghana where her grandparents once lived, about fishermen who sailed before sunrise and returned with nets full of shining silver fish. Her voice was gentle, rhythmic, like a lullaby. Lily listened intently, her small body slowly relaxing against the pillows. As the story ended, Lily reached under her pillow and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. She held it up with both hands. "This is for the Blood Lady," she said proudly. Emily took the drawing carefully. It was a child's crayon masterpiece, a stick figure with brown skin, big hands, and a bright red heart held between them. "Who's the Blood Lady?" Emily asked with a smile. "She gives me blood every month so I can be strong," Lily explained. "Daddy says someone special shares their blood with me. I call her the Blood Lady. She makes the bad sickness go away." Emily felt a strange warmth bloom in her chest. She had no idea she was looking at a picture of herself. "Do you think the Blood Lady knows she's helping me?" Lily asked, her voice growing sleepy. "I'm sure she does," Emily replied softly, "and I'm sure it makes her very happy to know you're getting stronger." Lily smiled, her eyelids growing heavy. Within minutes, she drifted off to sleep, one small hand still resting on the drawing. Emily tucked the blanket around the little girl's shoulders, placed the drawing gently on the bedside table, and stood watching her for a moment longer. She had no way of knowing this was the same child whose life depended on her blood. The connection felt too impossible, too distant. To Emily, Lily was simply another sick child who needed comfort in the long, lonely hours of the night. She quietly slipped out of the room, returned to her cart, and continued down the hallway. Her knees ached, her back burned, but for the first time in many nights, her heart felt a little lighter. Unbeknownst to her, 3 floors up in the VIP wing, that simple act of kindness had just touched the daughter of one of the most powerful men in America. And somewhere in the dark, the wall of anonymity that had kept their worlds separate for nearly 2 years was beginning to show its first tiny cracks. Emily walked down the quiet hallway, the memory of Lily's drawing still warm in her mind. As she pushed her cart toward the next room, her thoughts drifted far beyond the night shift, back to a time when her life had looked completely different. 6 years earlier, 25-year-old Emily Harper had stepped off the plane at O'Hare Airport with nothing but a full-ride academic scholarship to the University of Illinois, Chicago, and a suitcase full of dreams. She had been accepted into the highly competitive pre-med program. Her professors quickly noticed her sharp mind and steady hands. In organic chemistry, she finished top of her class. During clinical rotations, attending physicians praised her natural bedside manner and intuitive diagnostic instincts. Everyone said the same thing. "You're going to make an outstanding doctor." Emily believed it. She studied late into the night in the library, volunteered at free clinics on weekends, and imagined herself one day walking the halls of this very hospital in a white coat. Her mother, Maggie, had sacrificed everything back home to give her this chance. "You're going to heal people, baby," Maggie would say during their weekly phone calls. "Make me proud." Then everything changed in a single phone call. Maggie's voice had trembled as she explained the diagnosis: Stage 3 chronic kidney disease, rapidly progressing. The doctors in Chicago warned that without aggressive treatment, she would need dialysis soon. The cost was devastating. Even with partial insurance, the out-of-pocket expenses would crush them both. Emily sat on the floor of her dorm room at 2 a.m., surrounded by textbooks and medical bills, doing the math again and again. Tuition or her mother's life. There was never really a choice. She withdrew from the university at the end of her junior year, just 3 semesters from graduation. The scholarship was gone. The dream was paused, perhaps forever. Instead, she enrolled in a 6-month CNA certification program and took the night shift at St. Jude Children's Memorial. It kept her inside the hospital, close to the world of healing, even if she was now the one scrubbing floors instead of reading charts. Some nights the regret still cut deep. But every time it did, Emily remembered why she made that sacrifice. Her mother was still here, still fighting, and that was worth more than any white coat. She adjusted her grip on the cart and kept moving, carrying both her lost dreams and her unbreakable love down the long, empty corridor. It happened without warning. At 1:47 p.m., Lily Sterling was sitting up in bed, drawing with crayons when her small body suddenly betrayed her. One moment she was laughing at her father's silly joke. The next, her face drained of all color, turning a terrifying shade of grayish-white. Her tiny hands began to tremble. The crayon slipped from her fingers and rolled onto the floor. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Then her eyes rolled back. Chaos erupted in room 714. "Code Blue VIP Pediatric, room 714, the overhead speakers blared. "Code Blue!" Alexander Sterling shot out of his chair so fast it crashed backward. Lily, baby, stay with me." He grabbed her cold little hand as alarms screamed from every monitor. Her heart rate spiked wildly, then plummeted. Oxygen saturation dropped dangerously fast. Dr. Rebecca Langford burst through the door with 2 nurses and a crash cart, her face pale with shock. "She's in acute hemolytic crisis. Her body is destroying red blood cells at an accelerated rate. Her hemoglobin is crashing, 5.1 and dropping fast," a nurse shouted. Alex felt his world collapse. "Do something! Transfuse her, now!" "We don't have the blood." Dr. Langford's voice cracked with urgency she rarely showed. "We used the last unit this morning. I've already called every blood bank within 200 miles. They're all out of AB negative. National supply is critically low." The room became a storm of controlled panic. Nurses worked frantically, pumping oxygen, injecting medications, trying to stabilize the little girl whose immune system was devouring her own blood from within. Lily's breathing grew rapid and shallow. Her lips turned blue. Alex's knees nearly buckled. "This can't be happening. She was fine an hour ago." Dr. Langford looked up from the chart, sweat beading on her forehead. "Mr. Sterling, her organs are starving for oxygen. At this rate, we're looking at kidney failure within 2 hours, followed by heart failure. We have maybe 6 hours maximum before irreversible damage." The words hit Alex like bullets. 6 hours. He grabbed his phone with shaking hands and started calling every contact he had. Hospital board members, politicians, even competitors. "I'll pay anything. Fly blood in from New York, from London if you have to. Name your price." But the answers were all the same. No AB negative units available. None. In the blood bank 3 floors below, technicians were desperately cross-matching what little rare blood they had. But it wasn't enough. Not even close. Back in the room, Lily's small body began seizing. The monitors screamed louder. Dr. Langford barked orders while performing emergency procedures to keep the child alive just a little longer. Alex dropped to his knees beside the bed, clutching Lily's icy hand, tears streaming down his face. The billionaire who had everything suddenly had nothing. All his money, all his power, all his revolutionary AI technology meant absolutely nothing in this moment. "Please!" he begged, voice breaking. "Somebody help my daughter, please!" Dr. Langford met his eyes across the chaotic room, her own face tight with fear. "We're doing everything we can. But without AB negative blood in the next few hours, we're going to lose her." The invisible woman who had kept Lily alive for 2 years was somewhere in the building, unaware that the child she had been quietly saving was now fighting for her life just 3 floors above her. Time was running out. Emily was restocking supply shelves on the 3rd floor when she heard the frantic voices echoing down the corridor. 2 nurses rushed past, their scrubs wrinkled from hours of crisis management. "VIP on 7 is crashing hard," one of them said, voice tight with panic. 4-year-old girl in full hemolytic crisis. Hemoglobin down to 4.8 and still dropping. They've called every blood bank in the Midwest. No AB negative anywhere. They're saying she might not make it past tonight." The second nurse shook her head, eyes wide with dread. "They're preparing for emergency exchange transfusion, but without the right type, it's basically a long shot. That poor baby." Their voices faded around the corner, but the words slammed into Emily like ice water. A B negative, a child dying. No blood. She stood frozen among the shelves, heart hammering against her ribs. Her last donation had been only 3 weeks ago. The rules were crystal clear. 8 weeks minimum between donations. Her iron levels were probably still low. Donating now could leave her dizzy for days, even anemic. In the worst case, it could land her in a hospital bed herself. But a child was dying upstairs. Emily's hands trembled as she set down the stack of bed linens. She could feel her mother's voice echoing in her head. Blood is the one thing rich and poor share equally. When you give it, you give life itself. She didn't hesitate. Abandoning her cart, Emily walked straight to the blood bank with determined steps. The same nurse who had drawn her blood that morning looked up in surprise. "Emily, you're not due for another 5 weeks. What are you?" "I heard about the little girl on 7, Emily said, voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "She needs AB negative. I have it. Take my blood. Now." The nurse's eyes widened. "Emily, no. Your last donation was recent. Your hemoglobin might not have recovered. If I draw now and your levels crash, you could pass out, or worse. There are protocols for a reason." "I know the protocols," Emily replied, already rolling up her sleeve as she sat in the donation chair. "But right now, somewhere above us, a 4-year-old is fighting for her life because there's no blood. I can't just stand here knowing I have exactly what she needs and do nothing." The nurse hesitated, clearly torn. She glanced at her computer screen, then back at Emily's determined face. "This is against policy. Dr. Langford would have to approve it." "Then call her," Emily said calmly. "Tell her there's a donor ready right now." 4 minutes later, Dr. Rebecca Langford rushed into the blood bank. She took one look at Emily, and something shifted in her expression. A flicker of recognition mixed with heavy emotion. She knew exactly whose blood this was. She knew this quiet CNA had been the anonymous lifeline for Lily Sterling for nearly 2 years. But she couldn't say it. "You understand the risks?" Dr. Langford asked, her voice low and serious. "Dizziness, fatigue, possible anemia. You could feel weak for weeks." Emily met her eyes without flinching. "I understand. But that little girl doesn't have weeks. She might not have hours. So please, take my blood." Dr. Langford studied her for a long moment, then gave a single nod. "Let's do this." The needle slid in. Emily closed her eyes as the familiar pull began. Her blood, dark and rich, flowed steadily into the collection bag. She felt the lightheadedness hit faster than usual, a warning from her body that she was pushing too hard. But she stayed perfectly still, breathing slowly, repeating her mother's words like a prayer. When you give it, you give life itself. 15 minutes later, the bag was full. The nurse labeled it urgently while Dr. Langford personally carried it upstairs, bypassing the elevator to run up the stairs 2 at a time. Emily remained in the recovery chair, the room spinning gently around her. She sipped the orange juice they gave her, her hands slightly shaky. She had no idea the blood leaving her body right now was heading straight to Lily Sterling. She had no idea she had just become the answer to a billionaire's desperate prayers. She only knew she had done what was right, and that was enough. Dr. Rebecca Langford burst through the door of room 714, clutching the warm blood bag like it was the most precious thing on earth. Her breathing was ragged from sprinting up 3 flights of stairs. "We have it," she announced, voice cutting through the tension. "1 fresh unit of AB negative, just collected." Alexander Sterling looked up from where he knelt beside Lily's bed, his face streaked with tears and exhaustion. The monitors were still screaming their dire warnings. Lily's small body looked impossibly fragile, her skin almost translucent under the harsh lights. "Hurry," he whispered, his voice breaking. The medical team moved with practiced speed. Dr. Langford hung the bag on the IV pole herself, double-checked the labels, and connected the line to Lily's tiny arm. The dark red blood began to flow slowly, steadily, into the little girl who had been slipping away only minutes earlier. Alex held his daughter's cold hand tightly, watching every drop enter her body. This was not just blood. This was life itself. Someone else's sacrifice flowing directly into his child's veins. He didn't know who had given it. He only knew that in the darkest moment, when everything seemed lost, this gift had appeared. For the first 10 minutes, nothing seemed to change. Then, gradually, Lily's breathing began to ease. The terrifying shallowness gave way to deeper, more regular breaths. Her oxygen saturation numbers on the monitor started climbing. Color, faint but real, began returning to her cheeks and lips. "She's responding," Dr. Langford said, relief evident in her voice. "Hemoglobin is already stabilizing. The crisis is turning." Alex pressed his forehead against Lily's small hand, shoulders shaking with silent sobs of gratitude. The billionaire who could buy almost anything in the world had just been given the one thing money couldn't guarantee: time with his daughter. 3 floors below, in the quiet blood bank, Emily sat slumped in the recovery chair. The room tilted slightly every time she moved her head. Her body felt heavy, drained, as though someone had pulled the plug on her own energy. The nurse had brought extra juice and crackers, insisting she stay seated for at least 30 minutes. "You gave a lot today," the nurse said gently, checking her blood pressure again. "More than you should have. You're going to feel this for a while." Emily offered a weak smile. As long as it helps that little girl, it's worth it. She had no idea the blood now warming Lily Sterling's body had come from her own arm. She had no idea that upstairs, a powerful man was crying tears of relief because of her. She only knew she had answered a desperate need when no one else could. As she sat there, staring at the ceiling tiles, a quiet peace settled over her despite the dizziness. Her mother's words echoed softly in her mind once more. For the first time in hours, Emily allowed herself a small, exhausted smile. Somewhere above her, Lily's fingers twitched, her eyelids fluttered. For the first time since the crisis began, the little girl whispered, "Daddy, I feel better." Alex kissed her forehead, his heart overflowing with emotions he had no words for. Gratitude, awe, and a burning determination to find the person responsible for this miracle. The invisible thread between Emily Harper and the Sterling family had just grown stronger, pulling their two separate worlds closer than ever before, even as neither of them yet realized the truth. The next morning, Alexander Sterling was waiting outside Dr. Rebecca Langford's office before she had even finished her first cup of coffee. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, but his posture still carried the commanding presence of a man used to getting results. "I need the donor's name," he said the moment she opened the door. No greeting, no pleasantries. Dr. Langford set her coffee down slowly and motioned for him to sit. She remained standing, arms crossed. "Mr. Sterling, we've already had this conversation." "Yesterday, my daughter almost died," Alex replied, his voice low and intense. "She was slipping away right in front of me, and the only reason she's still breathing this morning is because one person gave blood at the exact right moment. I want to know who that person is." Dr. Langford met his gaze without flinching. "I understand your desperation, but I cannot and will not give you that information. Donor anonymity is protected by federal law and hospital policy for very good reasons." Alex pulled out his phone, opened his banking app, and turned the screen toward her. $5 million. Right now. Transferred to the hospital's general fund, research department, or wherever you want it. All I need is a name." Dr. Langford stared at the number on the screen for a long moment, then looked back at him with something close to disappointment. "If I accept that money in exchange for a donor's identity, what does that make this hospital? A marketplace where privacy is for sale to the highest bidder?" She stepped closer, her voice firm but calm. "That donor chose to give anonymously. They chose not to be known, not to be compensated, not to be pressured. Respecting that choice is not optional, not even for you." Alex stood up and began pacing the small office. "This isn't pressure. This is gratitude. I want to make sure they never have to worry about money again. Medical bills, family support, anything they need. I can change their life." "And that's exactly the problem," Dr. Langford countered. "Once they know a billionaire is watching, the act of giving stops being pure. It becomes obligation. We've seen it before. Donors start pushing their bodies too far. Some collapse. Some stop donating entirely because the emotional weight becomes unbearable. And when that happens, children like Lily lose their lifeline." Alex stopped pacing. For the first time, the invincible businessman looked truly shaken. 23 months, he said quietly. "This person has been saving my daughter for almost 2 years, and I don't even know if they're struggling, if they're healthy, if they're safe. What if they need help, and I never get the chance to offer it?" Dr. Langford's expression softened slightly, but her resolve remained ironclad. "Then honor their sacrifice by respecting their privacy. That is the only ethical thing you can do right now." Silence stretched between them. Alex stared out the window at the Chicago skyline, the same skyline his company's billboards dominated. He had built an empire on solving impossible problems. Yet here he was, powerless once again. He finally turned back to her. "If I ever find out who they are, will you at least tell me if I'm right?" Dr. Langford gave him a small, sad smile. "Even then, I would deny it, for their protection, and for yours." Alex left the office without another word. His hands were clenched into fists as he walked down the polished hallway. For the first time in his adult life, he had encountered something his wealth could not buy, something his influence could not touch. 3 floors below, Emily Harper was slowly pushing her cleaning cart through the morning shift, still feeling the lingering dizziness from yesterday's donation. Her steps were slower than usual, her face paler, but she kept working without complaint. She had no idea that the desperate father 3 floors above had just offered millions of dollars to learn her name. And she had no idea how dramatically her quiet, invisible life was about to change. 2 days later, Emily sat in a cold plastic chair inside the nephrology clinic, holding her mother's hand tightly. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry insects. Maggie looked smaller than ever in the oversized hospital gown, her once strong frame now frail and tired. The nephrologist, Dr. Patel, closed the file on his desk and removed his glasses. His voice was gentle but honest. "I'm sorry, Ms. Harper. Your mother has progressed to stage 5 end-stage renal disease. Dialysis is no longer enough to sustain her. She needs a kidney transplant as soon as possible." Emily felt the floor tilt beneath her. "How soon?" "If we wait longer than 6 months, the risks increase dramatically. Her heart is already under strain." The numbers hit Emily like a physical blow. Even with insurance covering part of the procedure, the out-of-pocket costs, surgery, anti-rejection medications, follow-up care, transportation, and recovery, would total nearly $120,000. $120,000 she didn't have. She barely had $2,000 in savings. On the bus ride home, Emily stared out the window, her body still weak and dizzy from the emergency donation. Her hands trembled in her lap. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to think the unthinkable. She might have to stop donating blood. Not forever. Just for now. Her body was already exhausted. The early donation had left her lightheaded for days. If she kept pushing, she could collapse. And then who would take care of her mother? Who would pay the bills? The transplant fund had to come first. One child she didn't even know versus the woman who had sacrificed everything for her. That night, after helping Maggie into bed, Emily sat at their tiny kitchen table with a calculator and a notebook. She ran the numbers again and again. More overtime shifts, cutting meals, selling the few things they owned. Even then, it wasn't enough. Not by a long shot. Tears blurred her vision as she stared at the cotton ball still taped to her arm from the recent donation. Maybe it was time to be selfish. Just for a little while. Just until her mother was safe. The next morning, Maggie was sitting up in bed when Emily brought her breakfast. She took one look at her daughter's exhausted face and knew. "You're thinking about stopping, aren't you?" Maggie asked quietly. Emily looked away. "Mama, I can't lose you. The transplant costs more than I'll ever make. If I keep donating, I'm going to break down. My iron is already low. I feel weak all the time now." Maggie reached out and took Emily's hand with surprising strength. Her eyes, though tired, burned with the same fire Emily had known since childhood. "Listen to me, baby girl. The day you stop giving blood because of me is the day you stop being the woman I raised. That blood you give isn't just yours to keep when things get hard. You told me once that a child needs it. A child who might not have anyone else." "But you're my mother," Emily whispered, her voice cracking. "You come first." Maggie shook her head slowly. "No. Doing the right thing comes first. I didn't raise you to choose between lives. I raised you to believe that when you have something precious to give, you give it. especially when it's hard. Tears slipped down Emily's cheeks. I'm so tired, Mama. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing both. Then you rest when you need to, Maggie said firmly. But you don't stop being who you are. Not for me, not for anyone. My life is not worth more than that child's. And your soul is not worth selling for money. Emily leaned forward and rested her head on her mother's shoulder, sobbing quietly. Maggie stroked her hair the same way she had when Emily was a little girl. We've come this far on faith and sacrifice, Maggie whispered. We're not going to lose ourselves now. Promise me you'll keep giving, Emily. Promise me. Emily couldn't speak. She simply nodded against her mother's shoulder, her heart torn in two directions, between the woman who gave her life and the unknown child whose life depended on her blood. The weight of that promise felt heavier than anything she had ever carried. It was just past 1:13 a.m. when Alexander Sterling walked through the quiet hospital corridors, unable to sleep. He had left Lily's room only to clear his head, yet his feet carried him back toward the blood bank on the 3rd floor. The hallway lights cast long shadows as he moved silently, lost in thought. The door to the blood bank was slightly ajar. 2 night shift nurses stood inside, chatting softly while updating records. Emily Harper came by again yesterday, one nurse said with quiet admiration. 3rd time this month. She wanted to confirm her next donation slot. That woman is unbelievable. The other nurse chuckled. She's the reason the Sterling girl is still alive, you know? 24 donations in 24 months. All AB negative, all anonymous. She's never once asked who receives it. Never asked for a single thing in return. Alexander froze mid-step. The name hit him like a lightning bolt. Emily Harper. His heart slammed against his ribs. He pressed himself against the wall, listening. She's a CNA on the night shift, the first nurse continued. Works her ass off, takes care of her sick mother, and still finds the strength to give blood every single month like clockwork. Even came in early during the crisis last week, knowing it was risky for her own health. The words echoed in Alex's mind. Emily Harper, CNA. The same woman whose blood had saved Lily again and again. He didn't wait to hear more. Moving like a man in a trance, he followed the distant sound of a squeaking cartwheel down the east corridor of the 3rd floor. His expensive leather shoes made almost no sound on the polished tile. And then he saw her. Emily Harper was on her knees in the middle of the hallway outside room 312. A young patient had suffered a severe nosebleed earlier, leaving a large smear of blood across the floor. Emily was scrubbing it vigorously with a rag and hydrogen peroxide, her faded scrubs stretched tight across her back. Her hands, covered in blue nitrile gloves, moved with quiet determination. Her hair was pulled into a tight bun, strands escaping around her tired face. She looked utterly exhausted. Alex stood at the end of the hallway, hidden in shadow, unable to move. This was her. The woman he had walked past hundreds of times, in elevators, near the nurse's station, outside his own daughter's room. The woman whose face he had never truly registered. She had been invisible to him. Background. Just another member of the hospital staff he never bothered to notice. Yet she had been keeping his daughter alive for 2 years. He watched as she carefully wiped every trace of blood from the floor, then stood up slowly, pressing a hand to her lower back. She swayed for a moment, clearly still feeling the effects of her recent donation. Without complaint, she rinsed the rag, collected her supplies, and moved on to the next task. Tears burned in Alexander Sterling's eyes. He thought about the $5 million he had offered Dr. Langford. He thought about all the times he had demanded answers, thrown his power around, and felt entitled to know. And here was the answer. On her knees, scrubbing someone else's blood off the hospital floor for $15 an hour. The billionaire who had built an empire on saving children suddenly felt smaller than he had ever felt in his life. He remained there for several long minutes, watching Emily Harper work with quiet dignity. She had no idea she was being watched. She had no idea that the most powerful man in the building now knew her name, her sacrifice, and the depth of her quiet heroism. Finally, Alex turned and walked away, his steps heavy. His mind raced with emotions he couldn't name: shame, gratitude, awe, and a fierce determination to do something, anything, to honor the woman who had given so much while asking for nothing. The wall of anonymity had finally crumbled, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Chicago morning was bitterly cold. At 6:07 a.m., Emily Harper stepped out of the hospital's east exit, pulling her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders. Her body still felt heavy and drained from the emergency donation 3 days earlier. Every step sent a dull ache through her legs, but she kept moving toward the bus stop, head down, breath visible in the freezing air. She didn't notice the tall man leaning against the sleek black car parked near the curb. "Excuse me," a deep voice called out. Emily slowed, then stopped. She turned cautiously. The man standing there wore an expensive wool coat, but his eyes looked exhausted, almost haunted. He wasn't smiling. "Are you Emily Harper?" he asked quietly. Her stomach tightened. Strangers rarely knew her full name. "Yes. Who are you?" He took a slow step forward, hands deep in his pockets. "My name is Alexander Sterling." The name hit her like a shockwave. She had seen it on billboards, on the side of hospital equipment, on news articles about medical breakthroughs. Alexander Sterling, the billionaire founder of Sterling MedAI. Emily took an instinctive step back. "What do you want from me?" Alex looked at her for a long moment, as if searching for the right words. His voice, when it finally came, was raw. "Why do you do it?" "Do what?" she asked, confused. "Donate blood every single month for 2 years, even when it hurts your own body, even when you're exhausted from night shifts." "Why?" Emily's heart began to race. "How do you know that?" "Because I finally found out," he said softly. "The little girl you've been saving, her name is Lily. She's my daughter." The world seemed to stop spinning. Emily stared at him, speechless. The pieces clicked together with painful clarity. Room 714, the frightened 4-year-old who couldn't sleep, the crayon drawing of the blood lady, the crisis 3 days ago. "Lily," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The girl with the rocket nightlight. The one who calls me the blood lady?" Alex nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "Yes. For 24 months, you've been the only reason she's still alive, and I never knew. I walked past you in these hallways hundreds of times. I looked right through you. You were saving my daughter's life, and I didn't even see you." He took another step closer, then did something that stunned Emily completely. Alexander Sterling, one of the richest, most powerful men in America, slowly dropped to one knee on the cold asphalt right in front of her. His expensive coat brushed the dirty ground. "I'm so sorry," he said, voice breaking. "I'm sorry for every time I walked past you like you were invisible. I'm sorry I never learned your name. I'm sorry that while I was building hospitals and giving speeches about saving children, you were actually doing it, quietly, selflessly, with your own blood in your own hands." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "Please, stand up, Mr. Sterling." But he stayed on his knee. "You gave everything while I gave nothing. You sacrificed your dreams, your health, your time, all for a child you didn't even know. And I want you to know that I see you now, Emily. I finally see you." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The only sounds were the distant hum of early morning traffic and the quiet sobs neither could hold back. Emily reached down, and gently touched his arm, helping him rise. They stood facing each other in the freezing parking lot, a billionaire and a CNA, both crying openly. "You don't have to thank me," Emily said through tears. "I just did what anyone should do." "But no one else did," Alex replied. "Only you." In that quiet, frozen moment, the invisible wall that had separated their worlds for 2 years finally shattered completely. Two strangers, connected by blood, stood face to face for the first time. And nothing would ever be the same again. Emily stood frozen in the freezing parking lot, her thin jacket no match for the Chicago wind. The name Lily still echoed in her ears. Tears streamed down her face as the full weight of 2 years finally crashed over her. "All this time," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I was the Blood Lady?" Alex nodded, his own eyes wet. "Yes, Lily talks about you every single day. She calls you the Blood Lady who makes her strong. She even drew you a picture, a stick figure with big hands holding a red heart. She keeps it under her pillow." Emily pressed both hands over her mouth, a broken sob escaping despite her efforts to hold it together. The drawing, the rocket nightlight, the frightened little voice asking if the Blood Lady knew she was helping. It had all been Lily, the same child she had comforted in the dark, the same child whose life had depended on her blood for 24 months. "I had no idea," she cried. "I never knew it was her. I never knew it was your daughter." Alex stepped closer, his voice thick with emotion. "And she never knew it was you, but she felt it. Every transfusion, every time she got stronger, she felt your kindness even without knowing your name." They stood there in the cold dawn, two people from opposite worlds, crying together without shame. Alex, the man who commanded billions, and Emily, the woman who cleaned floors for $15 an hour. For the first time, their lives truly touched. After a long moment, Alex wiped his face and spoke with quiet determination. "Emily, I need to do something. I can't just walk away after learning what you've done. Let me help you. Let me pay for your mother's kidney transplant, all of it. I'll cover the entire cost, no matter how much. I'll get her the best surgeon, the best aftercare, and I'll fund your return to medical school. Full tuition, living expenses, everything. You were meant to be a doctor. You still can be." Emily looked up at him, tears still falling, but her eyes suddenly grew sharp and clear. "No," she said firmly. Alex blinked, caught off guard. "What?" "I said no, Mr. Sterling. I don't want your money." He stared at her, genuinely confused. In his world, everyone had a price. Everyone needed something. "Emily, please. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. You saved my daughter's life. You gave up your own dreams for your mother. Let me give something back." Emily shook her head, her voice steady despite the tears. "If I accept money for my blood even now, it stops being a gift. It becomes a transaction. My mother taught me that blood is sacred. It's not for sale, not to anyone, not even to a billionaire who wants to repay me." Alex opened his mouth, then closed it. He had never been turned down like this before. "I'm not refusing because I'm proud," Emily continued softly. "I'm refusing because some things lose their meaning when money touches them. For 2 years, I gave my blood freely, without expecting anything. That purity is what made it powerful. If I let you pay me now, even indirectly, I would be betraying everything I believe in." She looked him straight in the eyes. "Lily is alive. That's enough payment for me." Alex stood speechless, the cold wind whipping around them. He had offered her everything, escape from poverty, her mother's life, her lost dreams, and she had looked him in the face and said no. "Then what can I do?" he asked, almost pleading. "I can't pretend this never happened. I can't go back to my life knowing what you've sacrificed while I did nothing. Tell me what you need, anything." Emily was quiet for a long moment, gathering her thoughts. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, but carried a quiet strength that surprised even her. I don't want you to fix my life, Mr. Sterling. I want you to fix the system that makes people like me invisible. The CNAs, the housekeepers, the transporters, the aides, the people who do the hardest work in this hospital for the least money and the least respect. Change how they're treated. Give them a living wage. Give them dignity. That's what I want. Alexander Sterling stood in silence, staring at the woman who had just refused millions of dollars. For the second time that morning, he felt truly small, not in a shameful way, but in the presence of something far greater than himself. In that cold parking lot, as the sun began to rise over Chicago, Emily Harper had done more than refuse a billionaire's offer. She had challenged him to become a better man. Alexander Sterling stood motionless in the freezing parking lot, the weight of Emily's words pressing down on him heavier than any business deal he had ever closed. He had just offered her the kind of security most people only dream about: her mother's life, her education, financial freedom. And she had looked him in the eye and turned it all down. Not out of pride, not out of anger, but out of principle. You want me to change the hospital? He asked slowly, as if making sure he had heard her correctly. Emily nodded, wiping the last tears from her cheeks with the back of her hand. Yes, not just for me, for all of us. The CNAs who work 12-hour nights and still can't afford rent. The housekeepers who clean up after surgeries and get treated like ghosts. The transporters pushing beds through hallways at 3 a.m. while doctors walk past without a word. We keep this place running, Mr. Sterling. We're the ones holding children's hands when their parents can't be here. But we're paid poverty wages and treated like we're replaceable. Her voice grew stronger, fueled by years of quiet frustration. You built a $4 billion company on saving children with technology. That's important. But right now, in this hospital, there are people saving children with their bare hands, their tired backs, and their compassion for $15 an hour. Nobody sees them. Nobody thanks them. Change that. Alex stared at her, completely speechless. In his world, problems were solved with money, contracts, and press releases. No one had ever asked him to fix a system instead of writing a check. The request was so simple, yet so profound, that it left him shaken. I've walked these halls for 2 years, he said quietly, almost to himself. I've donated millions to this hospital. I've shaken hands with the board, and I never once stopped to think about the woman pushing the cleaning cart. I never asked her name. I never wondered how she was surviving. He looked down at his expensive leather shoes, now scuffed from kneeling on the asphalt. You're right. I've been blind. Emily gave him a small, tired smile. I'm not asking you to feel guilty. I'm asking you to use your power where it actually matters. The doctors and nurses get respect and good pay. The people who do the hardest, most constant work get almost nothing. Fix that, and you'll honor everything I've done for Lily far more than any check ever could. A long silence stretched between them. The first rays of sunrise painted the sky in soft orange and pink, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Alex felt something shift deep inside his chest, a crack in the armor he had worn for years. I don't know if I can change the entire system overnight, he said finally, his voice humble in a way it had rarely been. But I promise you this, Emily Harper. I'm going to try. I'm going to start with this hospital. And I'm not doing it for thanks. I'm doing it because you opened my eyes. Emily looked at him for a long moment, searching his face. She saw sincerity there, raw and real. Then that's enough, she said softly. As she turned to walk toward the bus stop, Alex watched her go, the thin jacket fluttering in the wind. For the first time in his life, a woman who earned $15 an hour had given him something far more valuable than money. She had given him a purpose. In the weeks that followed, Alexander Sterling did not forget his promise in the cold parking lot. he threw the full weight of his influence and resources behind a quiet revolution inside St. Jude Children's Memorial Hospital. First, he met with the hospital board and made it clear change was no longer optional. Within 3 weeks, the Invisible Heroes Initiative was born. Every CNA, housekeeper, transporter, and patient care aide received an immediate $4 per hour raise. For many, that meant an extra $6,000 a year, enough to breathe, to eat properly, to stop choosing between rent and medicine. Benefits were expanded. Professional development funds were created so workers like Emily could take certification courses without sacrificing income. Next, Alex established the Maggie Harper Medical Scholarship, a $10 million endowment dedicated to frontline hospital workers who dreamed of becoming nurses or doctors. The scholarship covered full tuition, books, and a living stipend. He named it after Emily's mother without asking permission, wanting the world to know the woman who had raised such an extraordinary daughter. But the biggest project was the one closest to his heart. Using the same artificial intelligence technology that built his empire, Alex's team developed a national rare blood registry. The platform used real-time matching, automated alerts, and predictive analytics to connect rare blood donors with patients who needed them. No hospital would ever run out of AB negative again if the system could help it. On a crisp Thursday afternoon in March, the hospital auditorium filled with over 400 people, doctors, nurses, board members, media, and every level of hospital staff. Emily sat nervously in the third row, wearing the nicest sweater she owned. She had not wanted to come, but Dr. Langford had insisted. Alexander Sterling stepped onto the stage, looking different from the powerful CEO the world usually saw. His voice was quieter, more humble. 2 months ago, my daughter almost died because we didn't have the right blood, he began. She was saved by one person, a woman who works in this very building, a woman who earns $15 an hour, who mops floors and comforts frightened children at 3 a.m., who gave her own blood 24 times without ever asking for recognition. He looked directly toward Emily. Her name is Emily Harper. She is the reason my daughter is still here, and she taught me something more valuable than any technology I've ever built. The room grew completely silent. Today, we launch the Invisible Heroes Initiative. We raise wages, we create real opportunities, and we build systems that honor the people who have been invisible for far too long. When Alex finished speaking, the entire auditorium rose in a standing ovation. Not for him, but for the idea that the people who mattered most were finally being seen. Emily sat still in her seat, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in her life, someone with real power had listened. Her quiet sacrifice had sparked real change. As the applause thundered around her, Emily Harper realized that sometimes the greatest impact doesn't come from money or fame. It comes from one person refusing to stay invisible. 4 years later, on a bright June morning, Emily Harper walked across the stage at the University of Illinois Chicago College of Medicine. She wore a black doctoral gown with a green hood, her heart pounding as the dean called her name. Dr. Emily Harper. The auditorium erupted in applause, louder and warmer than for any other graduate. Hospital staff, former colleagues, and Dr. Rebecca Langford stood cheering in the crowd. In the 5th row sat Maggie Harper, healthy and smiling after her successful kidney transplant. And beside her was Alexander Sterling, holding the hand of his now 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily, tall and full of life, clutched an old, creased piece of paper in her small hands, the same crayon drawing she had made years ago. The stick figure with brown skin and big hands holding a bright red heart. The Blood Lady. When Emily stepped down from the stage, Lily ran to her and threw her arms around her waist. "You're the Blood Lady and the Story Lady, and now you're a real doctor," Lily said, beaming with pure joy. Emily knelt down, tears in her eyes, and hugged the little girl who had once depended on her blood for survival. "And you, sweetheart, are the reason I never gave up." Maggie watched them with quiet pride, her eyes shining. The transplant funded anonymously through the hospital's new foundation had given her a second chance at life. She was no longer bound to dialysis machines. She could watch her daughter become the doctor she was always meant to be. Alexander approached slowly, his voice thick with emotion. "You did it, Emily. Against every obstacle, you became exactly who you were born to be." Emily looked at him and smiled. "We did it together. Your changes at the hospital gave so many others hope. The raises, the scholarship, the rare blood registry, they're saving lives every single day." As they stood together, the former CNA, the billionaire, the mother, and the little girl whose life tied them all, the powerful truth of their journey became clear. The greatest lessons are often taught by the quietest heroes. There are people all around us, mopping floors, driving buses, caring for the sick, giving blood in silence, who hold our world together while remaining unseen. True greatness doesn't always wear a suit or carry a title. Sometimes it wears faded scrubs and worn-out shoes. Sometimes it gives without ever expecting anything in return. Blood may be the one thing rich and poor share equally, but kindness, sacrifice, and dignity belong to anyone brave enough to offer them. Emily Harper had once been invisible. Now she stood as living proof that one person's quiet love and courage can change everything. And somewhere in Chicago, another tired CNA is probably pushing a cart down a hallway right now, wondering if anyone sees them. This story is a reminder. Look closer. Be kinder. Give what you can. Because the person you walk past today might be the one saving your child tomorrow.